Hello and welcome back to Alex Goes Sailing. In this episode I will be covering my favourite anchorage of Chichester Harbour, and hopefully this helps anyone who wants to visit. Now hopefully I cover everything, but if not, leave a comment and I will reply. So my favourite anchorage in Chichester Harbour is East Head. Now this is situated on the east side of the Solent, just inside the Chichester Harbour entrance. Now this makes it really easy to access from the Solent itself, as it's accessible at all states of the tide. Obviously this depends on where you drop your hook. East Head itself is located right at the end of the spit that runs off the end of West Wittering Beach. It is also an area of special scientific interest, mostly due to all the birds in the marsh areas and the sand dunes. Now if you walk 15 minutes up towards West Wittering Beach, you will find a cafe. It's quite nice there, and also there's public toilets and a car park, so if you want to meet up with your friends you can. Also, if you come to the anchorage with a small boat where you can't really cook, or you're just feeling lazy, you can go on Just Eat or something similar and get a delivery right to the beach from all the surrounding restaurants. Alright, let's get into some of the details of the anchorage. So here we have a navionics chart. From the east to the west you can see the main channel. On the west side is the harbour entrance, and then you can see the East Head itself. Now to the south of the main channel and to the east of East Head is the anchorage itself. You can see it outlined by the green dotted lines and the little markings. You can also see the marsh area between East Head and the mainland, and the little channel that runs out past the head and out into the main channel. Now as this anchorage is situated just off the main channel, there is plenty of water for the big boats, and they usually reside on the very side of the main channel, but the smaller boats with a lower draft can go right into the marsh area. At low tide I can get my 0.5 metre draft sailboat up into the little channel that squeezes between the head and the mainland to drop anchor sometimes. But for the bigger boats this definitely wouldn't be the case, and I have seen some boats get stuck for a night. Right, now it's time to crack out some drone footage. Most of this footage was taken in the height of summer, so as you can see there are a lot of boats in this anchorage. But here you can see how the bigger boats tend to stay out in the main channel, and all the little boats and ribs and stuff go right in onto the beach. You can also see the Mediterranean looking blue water. It is clear, but it's very cold. I'm going to shut up for a little bit while you see what it's like on a summer's day. So the beach itself is very nice sand. You can find a few pebbly areas, but when the tide goes out you will find muddy marsh, sandy, gritty area. So you can anchor in it quite well. You just have to make sure you set that anchor really well. You do also get a switching current that goes round the head itself when the tides go in and out. It can be a little bit strong right at the end of the spit itself, but most of the time if you're in the anchorage right in the channel you should be alright. Now the sand dunes act as quite a good protection from the prevailing winds that come from the southwest, and also you're protected from the waves really well. Now for Misumi we have a draft of 0.5 metres, so we could go in at pretty much all states of tide and just beach it, because we have a stub keel with 2 fins on each side. There is a really steep drop off from the beach into the channel. It's more dramatic on the furthest end of the East Head. At low tide you can actually walk out right across the anchorage, because it'll only be knee height at maximum. Normally it dries out, but you can go right out to your boat. And the mud is quite soft, so all the fin keelers, small fin keelers, can actually wedge themselves in. I have seen it a few times. All of this footage is from weekends, but during the week it's much quieter than this. And a few hours before sunset, all the ribs in day boats disappear and it actually becomes really, really quiet, so you don't have to worry at night time bumping into any other boats. Now, I have seen some big 30-40 foot monohulls come in and actually beach themselves on the flat point that you can see on your left. I was quite surprised the first time, but it actually worked out really well. Obviously, being able to jump off your boat straight onto the beach is a big positive, if you're brave enough, that is. The harbour patrol do come round during the day and check that you have a harbour pass, but apart from that, you are left alone. On Misumi, we had a danforth anchor, so it was really lightweight but dug really well. You just had to avoid the seaweed, as you can find a little bit at times, but usually she was beached and that was not a problem. Now as the sun sets, all the boats disappear and you're left with a really quiet anchorage. Right, thank you for watching this episode. Hopefully that was informative and you enjoyed. Leave a comment if you want anything answered. And in the next episode you'll see us sailing Misumi. Now please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I hope to see you next time.